that they are struggling to afford their rent, they're struggling to afford their childcare, they're even struggling to afford public transit.
Yes.
About Bangladeshis being priced out of Astoria and moving to Detroit.
Yeah.
This is 20 years ago, and it's only gotten worse. Now, one of the main ways that this mayor has made it more expensive to live in New York City, my message to them would be that this is your city, and you deserve to live in a city where you feel like you belong and where you can actually afford to call that city your home. And I say that as somebody who came to this city when I was 7 years old. I got my citizenship 6 years ago, and I became the first South Asian man elected to any office in New York City.
আপনারা জানেন যে জোহরান মামদানি তিনি অ্যাসেম্বলি মেম্বার এবং নিউ ইয়র্ক সিটি কাউন্সিল মেয়রাল পদে ক্যান্ডিডেট। সো আমরা আজকে তার সাথে উনি অ্যাস্টোরিয়া থেকে নির্বাচিত অ্যাসেম্বলিম্যান। অ্যাস্টোরিয়া আমাদের যারা কমিউনিটি আছে সবাই তাকে চিনেন। সো আমরা আজকে ওনার সাথে কথা বলবো যে হাউ হি ইজ গোনা রান হিজ ক্যাম্পেইন। আমরা আজকে জানার চেষ্টা করব কমিউনিটির জন্য তিনি কি করবেন এই বিষয়ে জানার চেষ্টা করব। জোহরান, ওয়েলকাম।
Thank you so much for having me over there.
Thank you so much. So, congratulations that you are running for mayor, and you will be the first, I think, the Muslims who will run for mayor, who is the mayoral candidate.
First Muslim elected official to run for mayor.
Running
Yes.
for mayor. Okay, why you are running?
You know, I'm running because this is a city that the working class has built, but it's also a city that working class New Yorkers cannot afford to live in. And I've heard this from so many New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs that they are struggling to afford their rent, they're struggling to afford their childcare, they're even struggling to afford public transit. And what we've seen is that the mayor, while he's facing headlines about corruption scandals, he has been failing New Yorkers far before he faced an indictment. He's been failing New Yorkers because he has made this cost of living crisis worse at almost every opportunity. He has made it more expensive to live in this city. And I am running to make this city one that New Yorkers can afford to live in, and beyond just living, can afford to dream in.
So, as you know, everybody say, I mean, the different program and other stuff, but we have to understand how it will be possible.
Absolutely.
So, as you mentioned that, okay, affordability, because New York City is no more livable for the middle class or low income people. It's become extremely very expensive city to live, and then a lot of people they are moving from city to another places. I ask mayor many times, do you have any statistic how many people moved last 4 years? I don't get the answer yet. So how are we going to do it? Like, you know, this city already, because during the time of Bloomberg, and then he carried the legacy of Bloomberg, and then Bill de Blasio. Bill de Blasio carried the legacy of Bloomberg because Bill de Blasio tried to, you know, I mean, hold it, but already thing goes out of control.
Yeah, I mean, you look, if we're thinking about Bangladeshi New Yorkers specifically, you know, I represent Astoria and Long Island City.
That's right.
One of the most vibrant Bangladeshi populations in New York City. There were articles being written 20 years ago about Bangladeshis being priced out of Astoria and moving to Detroit. This is 20 years ago, and it's only gotten worse. Now, one of the main ways that this mayor has made it more expensive to live in New York City is through rent stabilized units. You know, the mayor sets the rent of those units. He has a board called the Rent Guidelines Board, and every year he decides, is he going to increase the rent or keep it the same? He's increased it by 9%. So one clear way you can make New York City more affordable is you can freeze the rent.
So how do you think, because if you want to freeze it, then you need the vote from city council members.
No, you don't actually.
You don't?
No, you just need the Rent Guidelines Board.
Okay.
They make the decision, and the mayor appoints every member of the board.
Okay, so rent control, I mean the board,
The board can freeze it. They've done it before.
Okay.
I'm the only candidate right now committing to a rent freeze for the whole 8 years of the mayoralty, because New Yorkers deserve to have some relief.
Okay.
And, you know, people may say if you're a landlord and you are facing costs that you believe you cannot make up if you have a rent freeze, the city has a program where you can apply for relief. But what we have right now instead is a policy where many rent stabilized tenants are on fixed incomes. Many are seniors. They don't have any additional income. If you raise their rent 1% or 9%, where are they going to find the money?
That's
and
right.
I have had Bangladeshi constituents of mine call the office and say, am I supposed to just not get my medicine this month? this is a way that we can keep people in their homes.
Okay, what about, as you know, there is another program they call, which is a very funny program called affordable housing. I mean, it's in the name of affordability. I mean, they are raising all the expensive, in Queens and other parts of the city, very expensive housing, private housing. And then you can apply for affordable housing because there is a percentage, about 25%. But your income has to be like, 70,000, 60,000 or above. I mean, the middle income people, the immigrant people, their income is like 35,000 to 25 to 35, 40,000
It's
dollars.
ridiculous.
Even they can't. I mean, what kind of affordability is it?
I mean,
okay, how you will change it?
This is what's been ridiculous. I represent Steinway Street
Yeah.
in Astoria, and there are affordable housing developments on Steinway, and I have seen when they open up the applications,
Yeah,
sometimes the salary requirements are close to $100,000.
$100,000, yes.
These are supposed to be the units for people who cannot afford to find an apartment on the market.
Name affordable, but
So I think one of the clear things you can do is the city owns a lot of land itself. The city has to make a commitment to build 100% affordable housing on 100% publicly owned land.
Yeah.
And that housing, it has to be deeply affordable. Because like you're saying, if you're a New Yorker making $30,000, $40,000,
yeah,
you're not having any doors open for you by these
Yeah,
kinds of
that's right.
programs often enough. So that is one commitment that we're making, 100% affordable on 100% publicly owned. Another commitment that we're making also is to end broker fees. I carry legislation in Albany with Jabari Brisport. 𝐎𝐮𝐲 𝐒𝐳, a city council member, carries the legislation in New York City, which says that if a landlord hires a broker, the landlord must pay for the broker. The
Yeah.
tenant does not need to pay. I have had tenants in my district call me and say, I'm living in a unit, I want to renew my lease, the landlord is making me pay a broker's fee just to renew the lease.
that's right.
And these fees, they are thousands of dollars.
Yep.
So if you're a low-income New Yorker who is struggling to find a place, let's say you can afford the rent, how will you afford that first month of expenses of the first month's rent,
Yeah.
security deposit, and broker's fee?
Yeah.
One other part of our program is about public transit. I bring it up because we won a pilot in Albany to make one bus route free in every borough of New York City. So 5 bus routes were free. What we saw is that when we made it free, the same low-income New Yorkers that you are talking about, working class New Yorkers, they were the ones who benefited the most. Because the new riders, were significant number of them were making less than $28,000
Yeah, that's right.
a year. And finally they got something that made life a little bit easier for them.
Okay, as you know, the New York City, they made the city for the rich people. No more the people who are living in the NYCHA or another place. If you see the situation of the NYCHA, because there is no, the water is dropping, bathroom is bad, people are living like, I don't want to mention how they are living, because I am the witness how people are living. Well, how you are going to change that kind of culture in NYCHA?
What you have to do is it has to be a priority. Right now NYCHA has a goal that if they have a vacant unit, they should fill that unit in 30 days, which should not be very hard, because one of the things people want most is an apartment.
Yeah.
So if you have a vacant apartment, it should be very easy to find a new tenant. There's so many people on the waiting list.
Yeah.
Under Eric Adams, it takes NYCHA more than 1 year to fill that vacant unit.
Unbelievable. This is, listen, one
year.
I know a person or many families who applied for NYCHA in mid 80 or early 90.
Still waiting.
Still waiting.
And they have vacant units and they can't even fill them.
You are living in a country which is the number 1 country in the world, the richest country in the world.
And this is the wealthiest city in the wealthiest country.
Right.
I mean, it's not about whether it's possible. It's about whether you want to do it. This mayor has not wanted to do any of this kind of work.
Okay.
So one priority we're going to have is to put working class New Yorkers front and center to all of our politics, because that's what has been missing.
So if you do it, then how are you going to, because there is a big budget cap as well by city. But if you do all this thing, then because they are taking money from, PET money, taxes and all the others, because you have to have the income for the city. How you can balance the budget.
So I think, first of all, we have to be clear about the budget is more than $100 billion.
Yeah.
The mayor has often created budget problems out of nothing. He has tried to scare New Yorkers to say there's not enough money for libraries.
Yeah.
There's not enough money for sanitation.
Yeah, as you know, many libraries has been closed.
And then he happens to find the money after people get angry enough.
Yeah.
So we will not play any of those kinds of budget games. And the second thing is we will spend the money on things New Yorkers need. This mayor has spent more than $100,000 on repainting police cars from saying courtesy, protection, respect, and now he wants to make it fighting crime, protecting the public. We don't need a new paint job on these cars. We need a city that is affordable, a city that people want to live in. We don't need a robot dog and a robot going around Times Square subway station. The third thing is there will be extra money we will need to raise. I believe we can find that money by taxing the wealthiest New Yorkers and the wealthiest corporations that do business in New York. The people who make this city run, they're not going to feel even an extra dollar on their pocket from taxes. But the people who make their money off of this city, companies that are in the top 5% of all that do business in New York, those are ones that can take more of a responsibility in how our state does.
Yeah.
Our final platform piece is about childcare. As you know, most New Yorkers are struggling to raise a family in this city. And you were saying you asked the mayor for those statistics. We always hear the rich are leaving New York, that they're going to Florida. The truth is it's the working class that are leaving New York. And what we found is one of the top reasons they leave is because they can't afford childcare. Because childcare costs $20,000, $25,000 a year. So we are going to make childcare free for New Yorkers, whether their child is 6 weeks or 5 years. And we're going to do that by raising taxes on the wealthiest, because right now we're losing more than $2 billion a year because of the New Yorkers who are leaving this.
How we are going to determine who are the wealthiest? So, I mean, will you have any kind of income level that, okay, you will be determined that you are wealthiest and you have to pay more taxes?
So with the corporate tax rate, the beauty of tax law in New York is that the company does not even need to be headquartered in New York. It just needs to do business in New York.
Right.
We're talking about raising a state tax rate to the levels of New Jersey. Not something that hasn't been done before in this country, but just to be at the same level as our neighboring states. And then with individuals, we are talking about people who at the lowest level are making in the mid 6 figures. We are talking about people who are able to afford a slightly larger responsibility of what it takes to build a city for everybody.
What about the low income people who own the house and other stuff, but might be they are not in the position to pay more if you increase the tax?
No,
you are not going to touch it.
No, the property tax is something separate. I'm talking about income and corporate tax. Because actually what we found with property taxes is that they are fundamentally unfair across New York City. This mayor committed to changing the property tax system within 100 days of becoming the mayor. And just like the study he promised you, he's done nothing on it. He's actually defended this system in court.
Okay. What about the law enforcement? How we are, because New York City the law enforcement and the situation in the subway and the street is very questionable.
And I hear this a lot from constituents that public safety is one of their greatest concerns, specifically in public transit. So when I was talking about earlier the free bus pilot, what we found is that when we made these buses free, assaults on bus operators dropped by 38.9%. That is a huge difference for the driver of the bus to feel safe in their work. Almost 40% drop in any assaults.
So I understand, but if you drop the free ride, then MTA has a $1 billion budget cap.
The buses cost about $800 million to make free.
Right.
The city has a budget of about 100 billion. So 800 million out of 100 billion, and then you have a state budget of about 230 billion. This is something that I believe we can absolutely do, and I say that as somebody who has worked in Albany, where I found the state found $600 million just to give to the Buffalo Bills to build a new stadium. So if people want to pay for things, they can.
Right.
But the second thing I want to talk about with public safety is so often when you use the train, you see New Yorkers who are experiencing homelessness, mental health crisis. we have seen in other cities across the country methods that have been proven to be effective, where they have mental health outreach based in the public transit system. In Philadelphia, it's called Hub for Hope. In the BART system in Oakland, San Francisco, we've seen a similar program where you have outreach workers based within that system. And in this moment right now, when you take the train, you see there's so many vacant retail units across the subway system.
Right.
We could repurpose a lot of those units to make them places where we can actually provide services.
And also, you know, the city used to get a lot of money from, you know, subway station stores. They used to
and now
have that kind of store. They're almost all the vacant.
Exactly.
They
need
used
to
sell
use those stores.
you know, the bookstores, newspaper stores.
You remember Times Square? There used to be a record.
record
store.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, you could buy headphones. You could buy a CD. Now it's boarded up.
Yeah.
We need to open that unit. We need to open all of those kinds
What
of
kind of
units.
business there? Because the printing business, which is the mostly it was a newspaper stand, and the newspaper is no more they are selling. Most of the newspaper they are online, but you know the other business. Do you have any idea what kind of business they can open?
You know, I think first there's a lot of outreach that you can actually put into those kinds of units. The worst thing is for it to be vacant.
Right.
It is better for everyone, better for you to
right.
feel safe, better for it to be productive, that it actually be used. Then in terms of businesses, I mean, we've seen cities across the world that still continue to have thriving commercial districts inside their public transit system. Why can't we bring some of that to New York
I
City?
understand. What about you represent Astoria, and Astoria become like the expanse like a midtown, and then Long Island City become like Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
How we are going to adjust the city? Like, okay, it's Long Island City become like if you are billionaire or multi-millionaire, the Long Island City is for you. Otherwise, there is no other way.
You're absolutely right. We're
Yeah.
seeing this in Astoria, in Long Island City. You're seeing this in parts of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You're starting to see it in parts of the rest of New York City.
Yeah.
What we need is an approach to development
Right.
that is citywide.
There is no balance.
Because right now it's spot rezonings.
Right.
You are picking neighborhoods. And when you pick those neighborhoods,
Right.
you are losing sight of one, what you do to the neighborhood, and two, what you need to do at a citywide level. And in my neighborhood of Astoria, we've had an incredible amount of development, but because it's just Astoria and a few other neighborhoods, the overall city needs, you're not coming close to them, but in the neighborhood, it's as if you've radically changed the entire place.
Yeah, that's right. What about your, how, you know that New York City, the police culture, law enforcement culture. During the time of Blasio, he tried to, you know, stop and frisk, and other program he stopped, and then the, you know, NYPD, you know, they have a union, and union was absolutely against him. So, what do you I mean, do you have any plan that you can change the culture of NYPD, or it will be the same?
I will change the culture of the NYPD.
What kind of
right now the culture is impunity. We have to be clear about it. You know, I have a constituent of mine, a woman by the name of Amanda Cervedio. She was biking home about 2 weeks ago, and the NYPD initiated a high-speed chase of a suspected burglar. They initiated that chase, and soon after, the suspected burglar hit and killed Amanda, trying to flee, as he was trying to flee from the police. That goes against the NYPD's own patrol guide, which says you cannot make that decision if it is viewed to create more of a danger for the people who live in that neighborhood, in that area. I mean, they killed a woman for a suspected burglar.
That's right. And then also a Bangladeshi guy, as you know, he was a mental issue.
Yes, Win Rosario.
Win Rosario. He was killed and nothing happened.
And I think what this speaks to is, you know, I have no doubt there will be resistance from some in the police department about a change of culture.
Yeah.
But there are even those within that same department who have said that there are things the police are being asked to do that they should not be tasked with. When you speak about Win Rosario, and you speak about other New Yorkers who've lost their lives to the NYPD in the midst of a mental health crisis, it's clear the police are not the ones that should be responding to those kinds of crises. The police do not have to be the ones responding to traffic enforcement.
Yeah.
The police themselves, in their own words, have said that they are being asked to do too much, and that when they're being called, it means other things have failed.
All right, okay, so let's talk about the education. What would be your education policy?
First, the education policy will be to adequately fund our schools. What we've seen is that in Albany, we have won record funding for our education, for our children across New York City, and yet when we deliver the money to Eric Adams, he has used that money and moved it around. So New Yorkers don't feel like there's any kind of record investment.
Right.
Another piece of legislation that we passed was for class sizes, to make it a requirement that we reduce the ratio between students and teachers so that teachers can actually focus on a class that is of a responsible number of children. So the students can benefit, the teacher can benefit. The mayor has been bit by bit fighting that kind of legislation. We need to ensure that we have classes at the appropriate size. That is a commitment that you don't just make in a policy level, also fiscally. You have to put the money behind ensuring there are enough classrooms. That's another thing that we will do.
Yeah.
And I also think we have to be honest about the state of our education system and the need for us to make teaching a more attractive job, because right now we have not created enough incentives, in the retirement system, in the pension system. And for when we're talking about teachers, we're also talking about childcare, and so many childcare workers who are primarily responsible for children up until the age of 5 are being paid sometimes $10 when they work at home, $16 when they're working at a center. These are not the kind of wages that incentivize people to continue to do
Thank you so much for your time. And then last question would be, say about a immigrant, because New York City is a city of immigrant, and we represent the immigrant. That's what all the question is, perspective from the immigrant community. Say about a immigrant who is living in New York City, his son and daughter in front of them, and say, hey, look, Mamdani is here. What kind of message to that family and his kids from Zohran Mamdani that, New York City, United States, where you can potentiality, which is limit the sky, everybody said. What would be your message to the young generation and the family?
My message to them would be that this is your city, and you deserve to live in a city where you feel like you belong and where you can actually afford to call that city your home. And I say that as somebody who came to this city when I was 7 years old. I got my citizenship 6 years ago, and I became the first South Asian man elected to any office in New York City. And there was a writer who said, be the person you needed when you were younger. Her name was Aisha Siddiqui, and I would always think of these words. Who did we need when we were young people in this city? And I hope to tell the message to those young people that you were talking about, their families, to tell them that they have a place here. And it's up to them to decide what that place is. Nobody else can tell them.
And they will not feel insecure in New York City anymore under your leadership.
Not at all. They will feel that this is their home, which is what it is.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And we have to talk more about a lot of other issues.
Absolutely. I would love to come back.
Yeah, thank you so much. দর্শক, আজকে এ পর্যন্তই, আরেকদিন দেখা হবে। আমাদের সাথে জোহরান মমদানি, who is running for mayor. Definitely উনি কমিউনিটির বিভিন্ন মিটিং মিছিলে আপনাদের সাথে যুক্ত হবেন এবং he will explain his position and his program. আশা করি আপনারা দেখবেন এবং জাজ করবেন যে how he is making the difference between other candidate. আজকে এ পর্যন্তই, আগামীতে আবার দেখা হবে অন্য কোনো অতিথি নিয়ে। সবাই ভালো থাকবেন। খোদা হাফেজ।